9 ways to spot a narcissist before they break your heart. Have you ever met someone who seemed absolutely perfect at first? They were charming, confident, magnetic. They made you feel special, chosen, almost like you had found someone extraordinary. But as time passed, something changed. You started questioning yourself. You felt emotionally exhausted. You constantly found yourself apologizing even when you hadn't done anything wrong. And somehow, despite giving them everything, it was never enough. If this sounds familiar, you may have been dealing with a narcissist. Now, before we begin, it's important to understand something. Having one or two of these traits occasionally doesn't automatically make someone a narcissist. We're talking about consistent patterns of behavior that repeatedly hurt the people around them. Today, we're breaking down 9 major narcissistic traits, what they look like in real relationships, and how they affect the people who love them. And trust me, number 9 is often the most shocking because most people never realize it's there. Now, before we get into it, let me first explain what a narcissist is. A narcissistic man is someone who exhibits a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, an excessive need for validation, and a fundamental lack of empathy. While anyone can display selfish traits, a true narcissistic man consistently prioritizes his own needs, often using manipulation or control to maintain a sense of superiority. Now let me share with you how you can spot a narcissist before they break your heart. Let's begin. Number 1. Exaggerated self-importance. Have you ever met someone who walks into a room and somehow manages to make everything about them? The conversation could be about your promotion, your birthday, your struggles, your achievements. Yet somehow, by the end of the discussion, you're listening to another story about them. That's one of the clearest signs of narcissism, an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Now, confidence is attractive. Healthy confidence says, I know my worth. Narcissistic confidence says, I'm worth more than everyone else. There's a huge difference. One inspires people. The other drains them. A narcissist often believes they deserve more respect, more attention, and more recognition than the people around them. They don't just want to be appreciated. They want to be elevated. They don't just want to be noticed. They want to be the center of attention. And if they're not, they become uncomfortable, agitated, sometimes even hostile. For example, imagine this. You've worked hard for years. You finally get promoted. You're excited. You call your partner. You can't wait to share the news. But instead of celebrating with you, they immediately start talking about their own accomplishments. Maybe they say, that's great, but when I got promoted, I had twice the responsibility. Or, well, that's good, but you're still not making what I was making at your age. Suddenly your moment disappears. The spotlight shifts. And somehow you end up feeling guilty for being excited. Over time, this becomes a pattern. You stop sharing good news. You stop celebrating yourself. You learn that your happiness always has to compete with their ego. And that's where the real damage begins. Because healthy relationships should make you feel bigger. Narcissistic relationships make you feel smaller. Another example, pay attention to how they tell stories. In their version of events, they are always the hero. Always the victim. Always the smartest person in the room. Always the one who was wronged. It's almost like every story has only one important character, them. If 5 people witness the exact same situation, chances are their version somehow paints them as extraordinary. And here's something interesting. Many narcissists aren't actually trying to lie. They genuinely believe the exaggerated image they've created. That's what makes it so convincing. The hidden danger, the danger isn't just that they think highly of themselves. The danger is that eventually they begin believing they're more important than you. Your dreams become secondary. Your feelings become secondary. Your needs become secondary. The relationship slowly becomes a one-person show. And you're expected to sit in the audience and applaud. Number 2. Fantasies of power, success, beauty, or perfection. One of the most misunderstood narcissistic traits is their obsession with grand fantasies. Now, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. Every successful person starts with a vision. But narcissists often take it to another level. In their minds, they're destined for greatness. They're destined for fame. They're destined for wealth. They're destined for admiration. And anyone who doesn't see it is simply too blind to understand their potential. The problem is that these fantasies often become a substitute for reality. Instead of building success, they talk about success. Instead of becoming powerful, they fantasize about power. Instead of earning respect, they demand it. For example, you meet someone who constantly talks about becoming a millionaire. Every conversation somehow circles back to their future empire, their future mansion, their future luxury car, their future fame. 5 years pass. Nothing changes. No business, no plan. No consistent effort. Just endless talking. Yet somehow every failure has an excuse. Their boss held them back. Their friends were jealous. Their family didn't support them. The economy was unfair. Everyone becomes responsible except them. Because accepting responsibility would crack the fantasy they've built around themselves. Now, this is what happens in relationships at first. Their confidence can be intoxicating. You may admire their ambition. You may even become their biggest supporter. But eventually you realize something. You're carrying the relationship while they're chasing an illusion. You start paying the bills, making sacrifices, supporting their dreams, while they continue talking about the future without taking meaningful action. And slowly resentment grows. Because dreams without effort become manipulation. Number 3. Constant need for admiration. Have you ever felt like someone's emotional battery was powered by compliments? That's what this trait often looks like. No amount of praise is ever enough. No amount of attention is ever enough. No amount of validation is ever enough. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps draining away. For example, imagine you're dating someone who constantly asks questions like, "Do you still find me attractive? Am I the best person you've ever dated? Do you think other people are jealous of us?" At first it seems harmless. You answer. You reassure them. You compliment them. But eventually you realize you're doing emotional maintenance every single day. Their self-worth depends on your constant approval. And if you stop, problems begin. The dangerous side of this is this: when admiration becomes a necessity, relationships become exhausting. You start feeling less like a partner and more like an employee whose job is boosting their ego. And here's the scary part. When one source of admiration dries up, narcissists often look elsewhere. That could mean flirting, attention-seeking behavior, or surrounding themselves with people who constantly praise them. Because admiration isn't something they enjoy. It's something they feel they need to survive. Number 4. Sense of entitlement. Entitlement is one of the fastest ways to identify narcissistic behavior. It's the belief that special treatment should automatically be given to them. Not earned, not deserved, expected. For example, a couple agrees to split household responsibilities. One person cooks, the other cleans. Sounds fair, but the narcissistic partner gradually stops doing their part. When confronted, they respond with, "You're better at it anyway. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? You're supposed to support me." Notice how responsibility gets shifted. The rules apply to you, not to them. Another example, they expect immediate responses to texts, but ignore your messages for hours. They demand loyalty, but offer very little in return. They expect understanding, but rarely extend understanding themselves. Over time, the relationship becomes incredibly one-sided. You give. They take. You sacrifice. They expect. You compromise. They demand. And the imbalance keeps growing. Number 5. Lack of empathy. This may be the most painful trait of all. Because empathy is the foundation of love. Without empathy, relationships begin to feel cold. Transactional, empty. A narcissist may understand that you're hurting, but often struggles to genuinely care about your pain if it doesn't affect them directly. For example, imagine you've had the worst day imaginable. You lost your job. Your stress is through the roof. You're scared about the future. You come home hoping for comfort. Instead, your partner says, "So what does this mean for our vacation plans?" Not because they're trying to be cruel, but because their primary concern is still themselves. The long-term impact is this: it creates a devastating loneliness. You can be lying next to someone every night and still feel completely alone, because emotional support is missing. And eventually you stop sharing your feelings. You stop opening up. You stop expecting comfort. You begin carrying your burdens by yourself. That's not what love is supposed to feel like. Number 6. Manipulative behavior. Manipulation is where many narcissists become truly damaging. Because instead of solving problems honestly, they control people. Sometimes subtly, sometimes aggressively. For example, you tell your partner something hurt your feelings. Instead of apologizing, they immediately reverse the situation. Now they're upset. Now you're defending yourself. Now somehow you're apologizing. The original issue completely disappears. Sound familiar? This tactic keeps them from being held accountable. Gaslighting example: you clearly remember a conversation. You know what happened. You know what was said. But they deny it repeatedly. Eventually, you begin questioning your own memory, your own judgment, your own reality. And that's exactly the goal. Because confused people are easier to control. Number 7. Envy of others. Most people feel jealousy occasionally. Narcissistic envy is different. It's deeper, more persistent, and often hidden behind criticism. For example, your friend buys a beautiful new home. Most people would congratulate them. The narcissist immediately finds flaws. The kitchen is too small. The neighborhood isn't that great. They probably got help from their parents. Nothing can simply be good. Because another person's success feels threatening. Why? Because narcissists constantly compare themselves to others. Life becomes a competition. Someone else's achievement feels like proof they're losing. So instead of celebrating others, they tear them down. And eventually they start doing the same thing to you. Number 8. Arrogance and haughtiness. This is the trait people notice first. The superiority. The condescending attitude. The need to prove they're smarter than everyone else. For example, watch how they react when corrected. Most healthy people can say, "You're right. I made a mistake." A narcissist often can't, because admitting mistakes threatens the image they've built. Instead, they argue, deflect blame, or attack. Anything except accepting responsibility. The restaurant test: want to learn someone's true character. Watch how they treat service workers, waiters, cashiers, cleaners, receptionists, people who have nothing to offer them. That often reveals far more than how they treat friends or family. Respect should flow downward as easily as upward. Narcissists often struggle with that. Number 9. Fragile self-esteem. This is the twist that surprises almost everyone. Underneath the confidence, underneath the arrogance, underneath the superiority, there is often profound insecurity. Think of narcissism like a castle built on sand. It looks impressive from the outside, but underneath it's unstable. For example, you offer gentle feedback. Not criticism, not an attack, just feedback. A healthy person might listen, reflect, respond. A narcissist may react as though you've declared war. Suddenly they're angry, defensive, hostile. Why? Because you've touched the insecurity hiding beneath the surface. Walking on eggshells. Many people in narcissistic relationships describe the same feeling. Walking on eggshells. You carefully choose your words. You avoid certain topics. You constantly monitor their mood. because you're afraid of triggering another emotional explosion. And that's no way to live. Love should feel safe, not like navigating a minefield. Powerful ending: if you recognized several of these traits in someone close to you, don't panic. The goal isn't to diagnose people. The goal is awareness. Patterns matter more than isolated incidents. Everyone can be selfish sometimes. Everyone can be insecure. Everyone can make mistakes. But when these behaviors become chronic, consistent, and harmful, they can slowly destroy even the strongest relationships. The truth is this: love should not leave you constantly confused. Love should not make you question your worth. Love should not require you to shrink yourself so someone else can feel bigger. A healthy relationship helps both people grow. A narcissistic relationship often requires one person to disappear. And if this video opened your eyes today, share it with someone who may need to hear it. Because recognizing the signs could save someone years of heartbreak.